Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. Okay, so a lot of you who have followed me long enough know that right from the very first day that the unfortunate incident happened in Israel when Hamas invaded Israel and took hostages on October the 7th, that I have made videos and have continued to drop video updates on the situation ever since. But recently there was a truce brokered, I believe, by Qatar, the United States, and the rest of them. It was a 4-day truce, and the 4-day truce eventually became a 7-day truce after a 7 days war, or a 7 weeks war. Now they have started back again. You can see for yourself that they have started. The war has resumed, and it's even more intense now than it was before. Now, there are a few things I want to address in this video. Very critical. When this war broke out between Israel and Hamas, I got 1 or 2 videos and even some information that I looked at that showed that, okay, maybe the reason this war is happening is because of the huge, massive natural gas deposit that is offshore Gaza. Yeah? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And the reason that made a little sense to me was because, remember the Niger situation, that everybody was pointing at so many reasons why we believed that France didn't want to leave Niger, and the West was ready to back France up in refusing to leave, even though the new regime in the country was saying, get out of our country. We saw how that so many people said so many things. But then from research, we were able to connect the dots, and we found out that one of the major reasons why this was happening was because they were running some pipeline, transatlantic pipeline, gas pipeline, that was supposed to originate from the southern part of Nigeria in Warri, and then terminate somewhere in northern Africa, from where it will now move to Europe to supply them gas, because the Russia-Ukraine or Russia-West war has now affected the gas supplies and gas flows from Russia to Europe and to much of the West, or Western Europe. Now, when we connected that dot, everybody saw the truth. It became clear that this is actually the real bone of contention. So when I began to see those videos and those proofs about the gas deposit offshore Gaza, it made a lot of sense that an entire northern Gaza could actually be leveled to the ground for the sake of this. But the gas deposit is not on ground, it's not on site, it's offshore. It's offshore Gaza. And if I am not mistaken, we are looking at about 32 billion cubic meters of gas. Guys, read my lips. 32 billion. That's humongous. That's the amount of gas that is offshore Gaza as we speak. And there's another 3 billion cubic meters of gas between offshore of the waters that is shared between Palestine and Israel. So if you put all of it together, you are looking at about 33 billion cubic meters of gas. Hey, that's a lot. That's a whole lot. So it makes a lot of sense that this could be why the war is happening. And to make matters worse, there's this guy called Amos Hochstein or so. I think he is the Energy Security Secretary of Joe Biden. Do you know that when the truce was brokered, he was one of the first American officials who spoke out? And guess what he was saying? He said that as soon as we hit the first or second day after the war, that it would be nice for the gas fields of Gaza to be explored and then the proceeds used to develop Gaza. That they want for those gas fields offshore Gaza to be explored. So American companies can go there and begin to explore the gas and then use the proceeds, of course, to take care of Gaza. In the same way that the proceeds of the oil and all the other natural resources that they are taking from Africa, that Europe is taking from Africa, are being used to take care of African citizens and to develop Africa, to an end that most of those African nations are ranked as some of the poorest in the world today. This was said by Amos Hochstein. He actually mentioned the gas. So if you never thought that the gas might be one of it, there's no way you're not going to begin to think about it. But then there's a publication from Times of Israel dated August 19, 2019. Hold on one second, please. Let me see if I can locate that publication and read you verbatim what the caption. Here it is. It's from Times of Israel, and it says, Israel actively pushing Palestinian emigration from Gaza. Official says. I'll read it again. Israel actively pushing Palestinian emigration from Gaza. Official says. They went to the point of saying that they don't mind even sponsoring Palestinians getting out of Gaza. They even decided that if they wanted to use the airfields, the airstrips that Israel has in the area for their movement to get out of Gaza, that they are ready. 2019, this was about 4 years ago. Israel was pushing for Palestinians to get out of Gaza. Not northern Gaza, out of Gaza. Since this war started, Israel has also been on record asking the Western world to please take Palestinians in. Receive them as immigrants in your countries. If you need us to help, we can help to move them to you guys. Receive them. They've also asked Egypt to receive them. Egypt is saying no. Jordan is saying no. If we receive these guys, who then is going to stay there to fight for their land? So they are all refusing to receive Palestinians. And so what you're looking at with this resumption of hostilities is you're going to see a situation where even the so-called southern part of Gaza will no longer be safe, because the plan is for the entirety of Gaza to be evacuated. Here is something else that I want to add to that piece. You know, there was a video I did in the days that the France-Niger crisis was still at the front burner, when BRICS was having their convention, their annual summit in South Africa. I made a video to break down the whole dichotomy of unipolar, multipolar world, to help people understand the differences, to help you understand that the unipolar world order or war system is basically literally crumbling before our eyes. And the guys who are the patriarchs of this system are running scared, and they are very agitated, and they will do anything to make sure that their ship does not sink, because they are going through a major shipwreck right now. And rather than sink alone, they want to drag everyone else with them. If you know about world powers and world orders, you will understand that before a new world order comes, there is always a violent reset. They don't go through reset without a massive cataclysmic event. World War I, World War II, and now guess what? It has to be World War III to be able to bring about a reset and a reboot. If you don't understand what I'm saying, take a look at this scenario. Saudi Arabia recently signed about $5.6 billion contract for electric vehicle manufacturing and shipment from China. They also signed a currency swap deal with China. What they are not signing with China, they are signing with Russia. The rest of the Arab world, literally all, about 90 to 99%, have now gone with Russia and China. These were nations that were once under the control of the unipolar world. But when Russia and China came up with the multipolar world, a challenger to the unipolar world, which is embodied in BRICS, these Arab nations began to jump ship en masse. And they began to jump ship. And from that moment, the West became even more terribly unsettled. Remember that the reason Russia was being targeted in the first place was that Russia was constituting a challenge. Russia was constituting a major opposition to the unipolar world by trying to empower the nations in Africa that were under the shackles of the unipolar world order. Remember, in some of my videos, I told you how that France has lost almost 5 countries in Africa, and they have now pledged their allegiance to Russia. This has never happened since the colonial days. This is a massive shift in political consciousness on the continent. Many more nations are beginning to align with Russia and turning their backs on the colonial West. If they don't do anything to reset this situation, in no time, this power, this world power that we all grew up to know, will collapse before our eyes, and they cannot allow that to happen. And that's why Russia had to be taken out. But going to Russia through Ukraine was no longer making sense. It was no longer working out. Today, Zelensky is being accused by his own mayor. They are attacking him inside Ukraine. We don't even know how much longer Zelensky is still going to remain in power, because the opposition to Zelensky from within has grown. The money from the West has cut short. It's not going anymore, no, because they can't see victory anywhere ahead. Because on daily basis, even the economists, even all the big tabloids in Europe are now admitting that Russia is winning so easily. Russia can actually march to the center of Kiev right now. No major opposition, because Ukraine is all but gone. Russia is having a field day on the battlefield. I spoke about these things many months ago. Of course, as usual, I got attacked. I told you, there's no way you're going to defeat Russia. So now, going to Russia through Ukraine is now working. Guess what? If you want to catch all these people that are running away from the world order that used to be, which is the unipolar world order, if you want to catch them, if you want to destroy them and their patron, which is Russia, the easiest and fastest and smoothest way to do it is going to be through Israel. And with Israel, you're going to kill multiple birds with just one stone. You're going to get Israel, you know, to have their way and remove the threat of, you know, Hamas from their territories or from their borders. But then at the end of the day, the same Israel is likely to be used to remove the enemy or start what the West wanted. The enemy of the West, which is Iran, which will then hit Russia, or they will go straight up and attack Russia. I doubt that will happen. It has to be through Iran, and then Russia gets involved, and then the rest of all these guys who were running away will now get involved, and the war they've been looking for, they will now get it, and now there will be a major reset. But the problem with this reset, unlike that of the World War I and World War II, the problem with this one is that it has a very historical and biblical undertone from everything we've looked at. And the undertone is that when this reset happens, the world is not just going to come back and reset and then another power will emerge again. You know, this power, every time they reset, there's always one power that emerges and that one power dominates. But this time around, we have two powers. They never allow for two powers to operate. We have the BRICS, the multipolar world, and we have the unipolar world. Unipolar is looking for war to reset everything and bring everybody back under the umbrella of the unipolar world. But when that happens, that war happens, no matter who wins that war, at the end of the day, what you're going to find out, which is why I say it has a historical and biblical undertone, you're going to find out that a certain man of peace will emerge to bring peace to the world, to bring peace to the Middle East. And this man will be the same that the Bible spoke of as the man of sin, the Antichrist. And he will be instrumental to the rebuilding of the third temple of Jerusalem. So what you see happening in Israel is what was happening in Russia, is what has now come to Israel. He's just looking for avenues to bring about that reset, the great reset. That great reset that will bring about the fourth industrial revolution, that will bring about transhumanism, a post-human era that will usher in the reign of the Antichrist. That's why they are all keeping their eyes on 2024 for the major trigger that will unleash all these apocalyptic, cataclysmic events on humanity. Go and check everywhere you know to check about all these intelligent information. You will see that all their eyes are on 2024. That's why the war cannot be just about the gas fields. It can be about it, but it's also about this other historical and biblical stuff that we've been talking about. So it's a worldwide thing. It's not just Israel-Hamas. I told you that Lebanon was going to get involved. They are involved now. I told you Iran will get involved. You watch, you will see how it happens. Syria, all of them. And before you, of course, I know how Russia works. You know, in all my video presentations on what has been going on between Russia and Ukraine, I kept telling you that Putin is very smart. You know what he did? He decided to pin the West down in Ukraine. He didn't want all the provocations, even when the Kremlin was attacked, all the provocations to make him go beyond that, pinning them in Ukraine, to attack or go beyond so that they can come and attack Russia. He resisted all of them. He wanted them to bring their resources and their men to fight inside of Ukraine and make sure that all the war happened in Ukraine. Even when they took it outside of Ukraine, inside Russia, he refused the temptation to engage directly. And he kept milking them inside of Ukraine. Their resources, their weapons, their men, all were being buried inside Ukraine until they couldn't take it anymore. I see the same thing happening. Russia, of course, advises 90-something% of all the Muslim Arab nations today. The same Russia is probably telling them, don't act. I know this is a massive provocation. I know this is irritating. I know you are itching to do something or say something, but don't act. From Turkey to Iran to Egypt to oil will tell them, no, don't act. Allow them to be bombing, even if they want to level the whole of Palestine, just allow them. But you know what? It doesn't matter how much you allow them. It's going to get to a point when they will go beyond and poke you so that the war will start. And there's only so much that these nations can take. And when it gets to that point, Russia will not be able to hold them again. And boom, you will see the fire will just spark off. And that's it. And you're going to have a global war, aka World War III. My final thought on this: how prepared are you? That's why I make all these videos. There's no other reason why I make videos. It's just how prepared. Can these things help you to prepare? If it helps you to prepare, my job is done 100%. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Check some of my videos on this subject matter and you will see some of the things I made as suggestions for people who are interested in becoming prepared for what is coming. May God help you. May God help me. May God help us. And may He give us the grace to do what is right when the time is right.